Rose Plays Julie, which is the new film by Christine Malloy and Joe Lawler, who made Helen and Mr. John, which are films that I admire very, very much. Their films are always, or so far, have been about identity and history and the way in which history and the past and the present coexist. So the story here, it begins with Anne Skelly is Rose, who's a veterinary science student. She was adopted at birth. She now has a phone number and a name for her birth mother, who we know has requested no contact. But that doesn't stop her from travelling from Dublin to London, where her mother's house is on the market. So originally she poses as somebody who is looking to buy a house in order to inveigle that way into the house, to see the life that she never had, because somewhere in her head she has the idea that there was another version of her life that happened without her in it. And so she goes to find the house. Here's a clip.
Are you looking to buy the house?
Oh, I do ask.
Well, it's just you look a little young, and I really don't want to waste anyone's time here.
The thing is, you're right. I am looking on behalf of...
What?
A client. So how many square feet is the property?
3,000.
Can we see Eva's room now?
And Eva is the teenage daughter that she discovers that her birth mother has. And so the film raises the question, why was she given up for adoption? And now Eva has, been raised by her mother in a loving, clearly loving environment. And who is her father? And the answer to these questions, which I'll leave it to the movie to reveal, leads her to a character played by Aidan Gillen, who plays a character called Peter, who is an archaeologist. And Peter, therefore, is digging around in the ground, uncovering the past, unlocking the past, as he describes it. The film is really interesting for a number of reasons. I don't want to give too much away about it. But on the one hand, it has a kind of a Me Too era thread to its narrative, which I think makes it very timely. But like all of Malloy and Lawler's films, it also has a timeless kind of Greek tragedy influenced underpinning, which is you can almost feel the sort of the mechanisms of fate moving the characters around. And once again, it is about identity, adopted identities, acting roles, because one of the things that happens, Rose Plays Julie, is that Rose becomes Julie. And she becomes Julie by putting on a wig and adopting another personality. But the difference is that Julie is essentially another version of herself, because Julie was the name on her birth certificate. So the film is really fascinating in terms of what it says about identity. It's really fascinating in that it has this very timely theme, which I don't want to talk about too much because I don't want to give away more about the plot, because it does actually have a kind of, it is a thriller. I mean, it has its revelations, very much as we were talking about before, about the Aristotelian thing about the revelations of thrillers should perfectly mesh with what you kind of know already. So as you watch the drama, you kind of know everything that you need to know before it's revealed, and that works really well. It has a rather brilliant score by Steve McKeon, who I think I've been listening to the soundtrack album on hard rotation, and it's eerie and strange and unsettling. There are things in the film that are very, very disturbing. There are things in the film that are magical and kind of, timeless and ethereal. And like all of Malloy and Lawler's work, the film has this kind of almost trance-like feel to it. That it's so much of the film is about performance, so much of the film is about adopting identities and saying things in a performed manner. I find their work mesmerising. I find it utterly mesmerising, and I think that this is yet another very unique piece of work from them. Great performance by Aidan Gillen, terrific score, really interesting film. Made it a couple of years ago now, and obviously suffered because of COVID, but it's now out in cinemas, and I would really urge people to see it, because I've seen it a couple of times now, and I'm going to go back and watch it again because I find their work so fascinating. If you haven't seen Helen, incidentally, do check it out.